Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now, today we're going to be doing a bitter today. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I thought I'm going to have to probably do this because this brewery's got a lot of conflicting stories right now in the media. But they all kind of point towards things are not going well in this brewery and there is problems. How bad these problems are, well, some media reports are saying quite bad, and other media reports, including coming from the brewery itself, are saying no, 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 we're not doing this, and things aren't the way they're being reported in other kind of media outlets and blah blah and all that type of stuff. But so I thought, right, when I seen it, I thought, well, I'll maybe get it because I might not be able to get it, later on, because if things are as bad as they're kind of made out. But what we're doing is Adnams Southwold Bitter. There you go. Which, of course, Adnams Sorority Bitter is this is a Jack brand, and it's trademarked since 1912. Adnams is one of these breweries. It's hit or miss. They can make a really nice beer, and then they can make a piss beer. The thing that always stood out was that English lager as being utter piss. I just thought that was bloody dreadful. I don't know what they were trying to achieve with that, but anyway. But if you haven't been seeing in the media, they were reporting that they were in a bit of financial difficulty. Again, you can gauge what kind of what degree that financial difficulty is, because some are saying it's really bad, and Adnams have having to put themselves up for sale and things like this to try and kind of save the brewery. And then Adnams is basically coming back into the media and saying, no, no, it's not up for sale, this isn't true, and all this type of stuff. And while we're looking to kind of find new investment and find new kind of revenue streams and that type of stuff, things are not as bad, as what's being made out and all this type of stuff. But yeah, this is what's really kind of happening, which is a shame because I don't think the brewing industry in the UK would benefit from losing a brewery like Adnams. Because obviously they do their ghost ship. I don't mind ghost ship. I prefer ghost ship on cask. I can drink it a lot better on cask than it can really on in the bottle. I find ghost ship in the bottle a bit kind of sickening. It is a different animal out of the bottle compared to on cask. And if I were going to drink it, then I would drink it on cask. Broadside, which is another famous one of theirs. Again, it's not so bad in the bottle. I quite like it in the bottle, but again, I prefer it on cask. Um, I haven't tried their lager on tap, their English lager, but I did review it in the bottle, and I wasn't impressed. I really wasn't. It was lacking. I don't know, were they ripping the piss by saying English lager? In other words, it's shit. I mean, was that kind of a little play on words or something? I don't know, but anyway, so we're doing this one. It's 4.1%, 500ml bottle. I think it's roughly about £2, but again, I'll put the details down below. But there's a bit of spiel on the back, and oh god, how the hell am I supposed to read that? Right, Southwold Jack is one of Adnams' oldest and most loyal figureheads. That's why we've chosen him to be the icon for one of our most famous beers. Southwold Bitter is a beautiful copper-coloured beer with a distinctive lingering hoppiness. And there we go. Jesus, the light is just so small that it actually makes me sound like a retard trying to read it. You're all probably sitting there thinking, I sound like a retard. you know, yeah, well, touche from that one. But yes, let's crack it open and see what it's like. Ooh, cheeky. Right, put that down there. It's stuck to the thing. That's on the floor now, isn't it? Go on, bug it off. Right. Let's see what this is. I'm actually looking forward to this. Oh, it's got nice. Oh, it's pouring nice. So it's pouring nice. So the people in the podcast, it's a 1.5 finger head quite easily. And it's a nice kind of bitter colour, so it's a nice kind of dark copper colour. So it is, like it should be. I'm getting grain is the first thing. I'm getting grain. I'm getting a little hint of malt, but mostly I'm actually getting grain. Not really getting hops, but I'm getting kind of grain. So but not overly big on aromas at all, this beer. The first thing you're noticing is the grain, not really getting the malt and not really getting hops. So, let's see what it tastes like. Jesus. That aftertaste just is almost flicking a switch. You just like 1 minute it's there, boom, gone. Jeez. That's a hell of a quick, clean finish. Jesus, there's nothing lingering in there. There's a bit of bitterness, but it disappears quickly and it's not really that intense. Again, it's one of these kind of southern bitters that I always find down south. Sometimes they do bitters and you think, do they actually really like bitter down here? Because sometimes it's the case that they do bitters and you think, yeah, but where's the bitter? You know, you've given us a little hint, a little tease of bitterness, and then just you kind of shut out of it. You know, you're like, oh, fuck that. No, don't really go crazy. And yeah, this is one of these ones where it's like, it's bordering on an amber ale because there's just not enough bitterness there. I mean, put it this way, people up in Yorkshire will think, call that a bitter? You're talking shit. Anyway, you know. Malt wise, okay. What I am getting more is the hops in the mid tongue. Not hoppy bitterness you're getting, it's kind of slightly hoppiness in the mid tongue. Just ever so slightly, little hint of soapiness there in the mid tongue. Whereas, like, you get that where you've hopped it and it's not really going right to plan. You've maybe hopped it to try and get bitterness, and it's kind of, you've either put them in at the wrong time during the boil, and the problem is they're coming out in the wrong bit, and they're coming out as slightly soapiness rather than bitterness. And which unfortunately is taking the edge off the mid tongue. The mid tongue should be a heck of a lot better, and well, what you're getting with the kind of malt at the front of the mouth, as it starts moving into the mid tongue, you think, well, this is where it should start to kind of really show its worth, you know, really kind of, you know, this is the thing that makes a difference between a good beer and a bad beer. And it's slightly spoiled because you're starting to get these little accents of slightly soapiness coming from the hops. Slightly kind of fairy liquid dishwatery kind of thing. And yeah, it's distracting in the mid tongue, and then, well, there's really nothing much at the back end. And it's like, actually, you're tasting, you think, this has gone wrong a wee bit, you know. Yeah. I mean, everything else seems to be fine and everything else, but it's lacking at the back end. There's no real bitterness there. And yeah, just getting this kind of slight soapiness from the hop, especially just at the back end of the mid tongue. And yeah, it's just kind of slightly because it's annoying me now, because every time I take a sip, I'm kind of homing in on it. And yeah, it's getting. On a side note, I'm just looking over there and I see a can there. There's a can of beer there. At some point, I'm going to review. But I don't know what happened. But Adrian bought me some beer um, a couple of months back. And I brought the bag over, and the wife emptied the bag out and checked the bag out. And I've done a couple of the beers, but one of the beers is still sitting there, and it's just below the television. And it's exactly the same as this can. And it just basically feels like this can's bloody following me, being stalked by this can. Because I've got one in the living room, so when I'm sitting watching the TV, I look down and it's bloody staring back at me. And just basically when I turn around there, boom, well, it's not exactly the same can, but the same beer is now staring back at me again. You think, I can't get away from this. I need to start reviewing it. I need to get rid of it. So that's what I'm going to have to do. So I will need to review it and get rid of it. And it's a bit of an unusual one, but Adrian wanted me to do, so I'll need to do it quite soon. But yeah, so every time I just look around, it just seems to catch my eye, and it's kind of annoying me a bit. But yeah, it's just this beer. I wanted it to be so much more, and it's slightly disappointing just because of how it's. I don't know, unless they went for this. I honestly, but I can't understand why any brewery would want to go for this flavour profile, that kind of slightly soapy kind of coriander kind of esque in the mid tongue. It's just no, and I actually wanted this beer to be a lot better because I like bitters. It's probably one of my favourites. I like milds, I like bitters, I like stouts, I like porters. They're my kind of more favourite kind of things, more kind of darker malt forward beers. I don't mind hops. I've got nothing against hops if they're providing something useful to the beer, like bitterness. Not a big fan of sour. I can maybe do a little bit of it, but I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer more bitterness. But I also like some of the other flavour profiles you can get from hops as well. But yeah, I like floralness. I've got nothing against that. But yeah, sometimes it's the cases of there's not many beers. It's like, put it this way: there's not many beers that are spoiled by too much malt, but there's plenty of beers out there spoiled by hops, where sometimes it's not enough, or too much, or they're just kind of coming in at the wrong bit and giving you certain flavour profiles that maybe isn't something you actually can really want, like this one. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, and I think it is. I think they've tried to put the hops in there to give the bitterness, and for me, it's coming through as more of a soapy kind of taste rather than a bitterness. Maybe other people are getting bitterness from it, but I'm not. I'm getting that. It's like, as I say, it's like sometimes people like me, I eat coriander, I get soapiness, other people don't. And I think this is this beer situation is some people will drink it and maybe get kind of more of a bitterness of it, whereas people like me will drink it and get more of a soapiness of it and be quite disappointed. So yeah, I mean, generally you can see it's a nicely brewed beer. It's quite lively. There's a nice level of malt. It's a good kind of balance to it, but it's just the hops coming through completely wrong in my palate. Um, but it might be different on other people's palates, so that's something you maybe kind of think about. Because I actually wanted this beer to deliver a lot more than it does. Um, and coming from Adnams, there was a chance it could. But like I've said about Adnams, they can blow hot and cold, and just this one just hasn't really worked out. I think they try to, and maybe other people are getting what they're trying to do um, on their palate, but with me, no, it's just not working. Yeah, That's annoying. That really is. Because I wanted to give this a good score because it's a bitter and everything else, and I wanted to deliver and I wanted to give it a good score, and it's just disappointing. I'm slightly pissed off, to be totally honest, just because I don't want to give beers a bad score. Sometimes people think I do. I don't, but I've got to be honest. Beer's piss, I'll say it's piss, regardless of what everybody else says. I will call it. I'm quite happy. I will stand by my predictions. I've had it before where people will call and say, "Oh no, you're wrong there." No, I'm not wrong. Maybe you like it, that's fine, but I don't. So I'm not wrong. And it's me that's tasting it. So in my taste, I'm going to be honest and say it's wrong. It's not working. You know what I mean? You can't call me out for being wrong by telling the truth. It might not meet other people's kind of views or opinions on beers and that type of stuff, but I'm not going to say they're wrong because what they're tasting is working for them, but what I'm tasting isn't working for me. So if I say it's crap, it's crap. Now, this is the problem. I keep saying beer is subjective, and that's why I spend quite a lot of time trying to kind of describe the flavours, because even if I turn around and say it's not such a great beer for beer, not something I would buy again, it's not really kind of something I particularly like and think it's particularly good, by describing the flavours as best I can and as descriptive as I can, then hopefully people will see past my own personal opinion and think, well, what he's described sounds quite nice towards me. It kind of is more up my street, so I'm going to try it even though it's not for him. And that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time talking about it and repeating about the flavours. And obviously, if the flavours change while I'm drinking it, I will update that as well. Because I try to give my honest opinion, which I do, and some people like it, some people don't, some people agree with it, lots of people don't. That's fine, not a problem. But if I describe it as accurately as I can, then people can see past my opinion and say, well, that sounds quite nice what he's describing to me, or that doesn't sound up my kind of street, it's not my cup of tea what he's describing, so I'll probably not bother. So they can take it either way. But that also goes for beers that I do like. If I like a beer and I describe it and then I think, well, that doesn't sound particularly my cup of tea, so I'll no bother. So yeah, that's fine. I can understand that. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes my beer reviews are probably longer than most, is because I try and be as descriptive as possible to try and give people an idea of what the beer tastes like, and from that, is it up there kind of street flavour profile wise or not? Yeah. Or does the flavour sound interesting enough to me to think, well, I'll give that a go. It sounds not too bad. He might not like it, but you know. So yeah, let's break these flavours down. Yeah, it's not dissipating. Right, starts where we get a nice little bit of malt there, bit of grain front of the mouth, a little bit of sweetness to it, a little bit. But yeah, you're just starting to get slightly accents of hops there in the front of the mouth, just little accents of hops. They're not really defined, they're not giving any floralness, that type of stuff, but you're just starting to get a little flavour that feels that it really shouldn't be there. And yeah, you just get a little accent flavour that feels it shouldn't be there. Move on to the kind of mid tongue. You've still got a bit of malt, a bit of grain, a little bit of sweetness, but this little kind of accent flavour starts to kind of ramp up a bit. And as it moves towards the back end of the mid tongue, that's when you really start getting the soapiness. The soapiness is kind of building up from the middle of the mid tongue to the end of the mid tongue, and it just sits there and moves on to the kind of aftertaste, the back of the mouth, and it just like kind of a little bit of malt, soapiness, and then that's it, cut off. Just like somebody's flicking a switch, gone. That's it, gone. And nothing lingers. But there's this kind of soapiness that's just no. And it's there all the time. And it just detracts from the beer. So it does. And the problem is, I've drunk quite a lot of it to try and see if it's get acclimatized to it, but no. Every time you drink it, it's there front and centre, especially in the mid tongue. It just, but it's spilling over also into the front of the mouth just ever so slightly. You're just getting this little accent. You don't know what the accent flavour is. You can't identify it, but it just feels like it shouldn't be there. And then it starts to connect to the mid-tongue as it moves into the mid-tongue, and it starts kind of ramping up, and you're thinking, well, it's that? Oh, Christ, it's soapiness. Fuck. You know what I mean? And it's like, no. Um, but yeah, because I like bitterness, it's not coming through as bitterness. But I know in some people's palates, it won't come through as soapiness. It will come through as bitterness in other people's palates. So, but for me, it's coming through as soapiness. It's not coming through as bitterness at all, and it's just lacking bitterness. For a bitter, it's like, what the hell is that? But it has got that soapy edge. And I've had that with a few beers where it doesn't give you the bitterness as promised, but it gives you a soapiness instead. And it is just, I think it's just the way the hops are coming in on the beer and how they basically added the hops, the type of hops, and when they're adding them. It's coming through as something different in my palate than it would be in others. But yeah, so what would I give this out of 10? Is a question. It's quite disappointing because, like I said, I wanted this to be good and I wanted to be able to give this a good mark, but I'm going to struggle. My first impressions would be a 4, but I don't think that's particularly fair because I think other people will get the bitterness. I'm just not. It's just not coming through as bitterness to me, whereas it might come through in other palates. I'm getting a kind of soapy dishwater kind of vibe off it. Strong enough to annoy me. So my first impressions would be giving it a 4, but I feel that I'm maybe being a bit unfair. But even then, the way it finishes is it's so quick and clean, the finish, and even the front of the mouth, it's okay, but nothing brilliant. So I think the best I could do is give it an average score, and I think that's what I'm going to do to try and kind of try and be as fair as I can. It's on my palate, it's a 4 all day long, but I'm trying to kind of work out what it might be in other people's palates because it might come across differently, and I think it might, because then people will be thinking, what's he talking about? There's plenty of bitterness there, which of course it's just not coming across to me. So I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10, which is disappointing because I wanted to give it a lot more, but it's just not delivering. So the best I can give it is an average. So it's, 5 out of 10. It's 4.1%, 500ml bottle. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.